Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
A very good Wednesday afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us here on the Noon News. I'm Samantha Sullivan. After losing his life to save others in Iraq in 2007, a Montana soldier will receive the Medal of Honor from President Donald Trump today. Army Staff Sergeant Travis Atkins of Bozeman died when he used his own body to cover a detonation from a suicide bomber and protect his comrades, saving 3 lives in the process. His son Trevor will accept the nation's highest award for valor on his father's behalf today. The ceremony is set to start at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. In other news this afternoon, a man is found dead after being reported missing in Glacier National Park. Family members notified police that the 48-year-old Arizona visitor was missing. His vehicle was found at Lake McDonald Lodge. The dive teams recovered his body from the lake. No foul play is suspected. The lake is frozen in places, but open water still exists. And a western Montana man accused of leaving his infant nephew buried in the woods will spend at least 20 years in prison. 33-year-old Francis Crowley was high on meth and bath salts when he abandoned the 5-month-old in February of 2018. The baby was found by authorities after a massive search and thankfully survived.
This has completely changed my life. It doesn't matter what sentence is that I get. It's done. Like, I need help though. I'm gonna go to prison, what? Who am I? I'm a rat. How do you think I feel? Huh? That you're the one that found him when I'm the one that was supposed to be there for him. I have to tell my little nieces that I almost killed their little brother.
Crowley was sentenced to 10 years on each of the 2 counts of criminal endangerment. A state of emergency has been declared across Park County. High water through Paradise Valley all the way north to Wilsall has breached homes and submerged roadways. 5 roads are closed. More than a dozen are damaged, and crews are carefully monitoring to make sure no residents get stranded. The sheriff's office encourages residents to be wary of driving through water-covered roadways because what's underneath could be dangerous. Free sandbags are available at the fairgrounds in Livingston. Well, turning now over to Ed in the Weather Center. Ed, it was one of the warmest days of the year yesterday around much of the state.
That's for sure, and it was kind of a good news, bad news situation since some of the area was still dealing with much of those areas where we saw that increased flooding thanks to the warm-up. Temperatures through southern Montana, northern Wyoming, mainly into the 60s, hit 70 yesterday in Hardin between Billings and Sheridan, and still mild even into the western portion of the state. But now we're shifting gears and watching for the possibility of snow showers, especially in western and southern Montana, starting tonight and then spreading through southern Montana in the next couple of days. There was one computer analysis, the European model showing perhaps snow spreading a little bit more into the eastern plains, but we'll try and sort out the details for you and let you know who can expect what. All of that coming up with a forecast in a few minutes from now.
Thanks, Ed. A bill to continue Montana's multi-million-dollar Medicaid expansion program cleared its first legislative hurdle last night, but not before it went through some extensive changes, a lot of point of discussion, and some cliffhanger votes. MTN's Mike Dennison explains.
After more than an hour of debate and multiple votes, the House Human Services Committee voted 11-8 to approve House Bill 658, which continues the program that currently provides health coverage to 96,000 low-income adults in Montana. The big change in the bill, sponsored by Republican Representative Ed Buttry of Great Falls, is a form of work requirements to be eligible for the benefit. Buttry told MTN News after the vote that he believes the requirement won't cause thousands of people to be removed from the program.
We're pretty famous for our Montana-made solutions, especially in healthcare. And I think we're going to do it in a way that is going to make sure that we know a large percentage of these folks are working and likely meet the community engagement requirements already.
But the panel took a circuitous route to approve the bill and send it to the House floor. Republicans, who hold a majority on the panel, first amended work requirements into Democrat Mary Cafero's Medicaid bill.
We're talking about the 34-year-old who is sitting on the couch playing video games, okay, is now depressed because not getting enough sleep, because they play too long, not eating correctly, and not exercising, not socializing, but yet can draw Medicaid.
Yet Democrats on the panel then moved to kill Cafero's bill, saying they couldn't support the work requirements, and Republicans agreed. that left the committee with only Buttrey's bill, which Democrats then revealed they would support after some of its requirements were softened.
I think we recognize that the political context changed, and there's 96,000 people who are anxious watching what we're going to do in this building and wondering whether they're going to have health insurance in July.
Conservative Republicans on the panel, however, said the bill had been changed too much, although they knew it had the votes to pass.
I can count to 10. I've been sitting here just like all of you, and I can see where this is going to go. But this bill, the way it is now, not knowing everything that's in it and how it's going to impact everyone, I just cannot support this bill.
Buttrey said the policy in the bill is much like its original form. 3 Republicans, including Buttrey, joined all 8 Democrats on the committee to advance the bill, which still must go through the House floor, another committee, the Senate, and the governor's pen to become law. As Buttrey said afterwards, it's a long road to get it done. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Medicaid expansion is set to expire in Montana this June unless the legislature votes to extend it. The legal tug-of-war over Bozeman's proposed Law and Justice Center is over after a judge threw out a recent lawsuit this week. Former lawmaker Roger Koopman filed the suit saying the city advocated the safety building to voters instead of educating them on it. The complaint was dismissed after a week of deliberations. Deputy Mayor Chris Mell says it feels good to be able to move forward. And in a statement, Roger Koopman said he and his attorney are currently reviewing all options. Well, there are new details surrounding asbestos in Libby. We're learning all residential properties have been cleaned, and now EPA crews will work to ensure properties stay that way. The Libby Asbestos Superfund Advisory Team met in Helena. Libby had been a Superfund site since 2002 to clean up the town from asbestos contamination from the W.R. Grace vermiculite mine. After properties are cleaned, the EPA will hand over responsibility to the state of Montana. Meanwhile, University of Montana leaders are moving a child care center previously moved because of asbestos back into McGill Hall. You may remember children were moved to another campus building back in January. Officials contemplated where to permanently put the child care facility. The university says the building is now safe enough for children to be moved back. And at Montana State University, crews will have to remove a 3rd gym in the process of clearing away rubble from the 2 gyms that collapsed under heavy snow earlier this winter. Questions do remain as to what led to the collapse. As crews demolish both north and south gyms, they will have to remove the upper gym that is still standing between them, but crews have to be careful the nearby fitness center doesn't get damaged in the process. Well, the latest round of flu numbers in Montana shows more widespread activity across the state. As of March 16th, the state reports more than 11,000 cases, and of them, 16 people have died, including a 6-year-old girl. Nearly 600 people have been hospitalized. This time last month, more than 2,000 people had contracted the flu, sending more than 100 people to the hospital. Last flu season lasted from September 2017 to June of 2018. Almost 1,000 people were hospitalized and 79 people died. Well, coming up here on the Noon News, we head to Capitol Hill where lawmakers grilled federal transportation officials about grounded Boeing 737 MAX jets. And after one of the warmest days of the year, winter weather is making its way back into the state. Ed will have his full forecast right after the break.
Watching MTN News with Samantha Sullivan, Storm Tracker Weather with Ed McIntosh, and Farm and Ranch News from the Montana Ag Network. This is the Noon News on Q2, Montana's news leader.